video too. I know we're going to be tearing apart the Bible and myths and mythology and so on and so forth about gods, deities, and things like that. Thought we'd start off with the basic premise of the whole thing and God and his so-called all-powerful abilities and such. Okay, this has been one of those things that I guess every Bible thumper and every religion has ever said, that God is all-powerful, works in strange and mysterious ways. Well, the strange and mysterious ways thing comes about when they can't explain something. It's not much different than when science says we have a theory. Okay, we have an idea of how something works in science, but we're not 100% sure as to how it happened or how it works entirely. So we hypothesize, we take a look at things, and we say, okay, let's prove this and let's figure this out so we can prove it. Whereas Bible thumpers and Christians and so on and so forth simply turn around and say God works in mysterious ways. And when you ask them how, they can't explain it. They just say that's the way God is. He just works that way. Not really a valid argument, not really a valid explanation. If science were to come to you and say, that's just how this works, without backing something up and saying, okay, well, if you add this to this, the chemical reaction and combination causes this to happen, and this is what happens from that, and so on and so forth, and keeps going up the ladder or down the ladder and so on. Bible thumpers won't accept that. It's like when we say evolution, and we tell them, okay, well, this has led to this, this has led to this, this has led to this, we've seen it, we've proven it, we know it. God works in strange and mysterious ways. Care to elaborate a little bit more? You can't, because that's just the whole idea behind it, is that God works in strange and mysterious ways, and he's never going to work any other way. Okay, like I said, prove it to us. Show us where God works in strange and mysterious ways. You know, we're still waiting for this. It's been thousands of years that people have been saying this, and nobody's ever been able to offer solid proof that God, whatever it is, works in strange and mysterious ways. Science, on the other hand, has been going to great lengths to disprove and prove theories and so on and so forth, ideas, rebuild new things, take a look at things and say, okay, you know what? We were wrong about this. We've actually discovered that this is how something works. The science is not afraid to say that, whereas religion says, nope, nope, we weren't wrong. We weren't wrong. We just interpreted the data differently than we thought. Still wrong, okay? Still wrong. It's like saying, you know, you've got the New Testament and it kind of overrides the Old Testament. Well, you can't. You know, you've got the Old Testament, which laid the basis for the New Testament, which is still my question. If God is all-powerful, then how can you rewrite the Word of God when they say, well, this is post-Jesus, the New Testament was pre-Jesus? Doesn't really matter. If Jesus is the Son of God, then wouldn't you rather listen to the Father than the Son? You know? Okay, that's just my theory of the whole thing, but you know, God is supposed to be the all-powerful one, not Jesus, you know, so my theory would be you can't rewrite the Old Testament and have it overridden by the New Testament, because it's Jesus' word as opposed to God's. God is supposed to be the all-end, be-all, end-all of everything, so, okay. Which brings me to my point about God's almighty abilities. Now, God's answer to his first creation of the world and all the people on it and that, when he wasn't happy with it, was to say, you know what, I'm not happy with the way shit turned out. I'm just going to flood the fucking earth except for these 8 people here, kill off everything, and start all over again. Isn't that like kind of burning down your house because you saw a spider in the bathtub? I mean, it's kind of redundant to say, you know what, I'm all powerful, I'm almighty, you know what, I'm just going to wipe the fuck out of everything because I don't like the way it turned out, and I'm going to restart a whole new thing, but just with these 8 people. See, why couldn't God just, you know, use his almighty powerfulness and say, you know what, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to kind of tweak this free will that I gave man so that they don't go so far overboard and calm things down a little bit. That way I wouldn't have to destroy everybody and every innocent animal in the world and all the plants, which have evidently done, you know, such dastardly things that, you know, they all deserve to die, as well as every little fluffy little critter that's running around, like all the bunnies and the deer and, you know, raccoons and things like that, you know, because they're just so evil they have to be destroyed as well. Another proponent of God's all-powerful abilities is, why did God need man to transcribe the Bible? Like, you'd think if he were going to give us such a set of rules and words of wisdom and things to live by and that and such stories, that it would have just been ingrained in our DNA originally and into our knowledge base. It would just be one of those things that, well, we just know this is how it is because this was programmed into us. Like, I mean, why did he need people to sit there and go, I'm listening, God, keep going, yes, 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 hang on, I'll get some coffee. It doesn't make any sense. Again, the Ten Commandments. Why did God need Moses to go onto a mountaintop for 40 days, chisel words into a tablet, when God could have just gone, hang on, there you go, tablets, all yours. He could have distributed them around the world, given every set, one set to every family around the world, and there you go, it would have been done. Same with the Bible. He could have just gone, Bible's done, here you go, copy to everyone around the world, here you go. Instead of having people take the labors to actually do all this writing, chiseling, so on and so forth. God really, and I say this like I'm talking about, I know for a fact that he exists when the more you read the Bible, the more you actually realize nothing this stupid could actually exist because nothing makes sense about him. God himself, I mean, he's supposed to be able to have created everything. Again, God's all powerful. If God is all powerful and he created everything, that means he created diseases as well and anything evil. But yet when you say this to a Bible thumper, Christian, Catholic, Scientologist, whatever, oh God, what are those really weird ones? Jehovah's Witnesses, things like that. They say, no, God didn't create anything that was evil. The devil did that. Really? So there's something as equally as powerful as God now is what you're saying. So God really isn't the all-powerful one. Because if God didn't want these things to exist, he would have been able to get rid of them a long time ago. Again, with just a wave of his hand saying, hey, I'm all powerful, fuck you, this is gone. Again, the devil's around. So if God doesn't want the devil to be around, why doesn't he just say, hey, you know what? I don't want him around. Gone. Devil's done. Would make more sense than sitting there going, what the fuck is that cocksucker going to do today to piss me off? Wouldn't it? I mean, if you rationally take a look at the Bible, God's been able to do everything. But again, he wasn't able to predict the war in heaven. He wasn't able to save the thousands of angels that lost their lives. Wasn't able to stop the creation of the devil. Wasn't able to stop man from sinning. Wasn't able to tweak our free will. Wasn't able to stop cancer, AIDS, typhoid, influenza that kills millions. Isn't able to give starving kids in Africa access to medical aid, clean health, clean water, abundance of food like he's done with the rest of the world. It's just kind of like God's gone, I like this country, I like this country, I like this country, I like this country. You're all going to thrive. This country will thrive, but this nation, part of the country over here, is all going to starve to death. Okay, I've got my favorites. That's all there is to it. No excuses, no questions, no nothing. So, in reality, if you really see the way that the so-called God works, that the Bible thumpers and so on have put out there, it's one of those things that Scientology does start to make a lot more fucking sense than the Bible itself. I know Scientology, written by a science fiction writer and everything like that, created by L. Ron Hubbard and shit. But you know what? It does make a lot more sense than the actual Bible itself. It actually gives you a premise to take a look and go, well, you know what? Yeah, something better must be out there, something bigger. Because one of the other things that Bible thumpers say about God's power is that God created everything in the universe. Well, you also say that nothing can't create something. So if nothing cannot create something, how did God come to be? And you cannot use the logic that, well, God always just was. He was always here. He's been before the presence of time. Just because something doesn't exist doesn't mean the time before that item does not exist. You weren't born prior to the day that you were actually born. So does that mean that time before that did not exist? No, that means that you yourself did not exist before that time. Time has always been around. Just because there is something that wasn't there prior does not mean that time was not there before that item. It's like the beginning of the universe. People say, well, in the beginning of the universe, well, the universe has always been there. Just structures in the universe have not always been there. Time has always been there. If there's nothing in the sky, that doesn't mean that time has stopped. It doesn't mean that there is no time there. It just means that there's nothing occupying that set space in that area during that time. Okay, kind of Doctor Who-ish, but, yeah, Time Lords make a lot of sense in that aspect. I mean, you can go to the beginning of time, but time really doesn't have a beginning. Time always was there. Time always was one of those things that is constant. It is always here. And when people are gone off this planet is no longer in existence, time will still be there. Time has not stopped. Time does not say, oh, man, the earth is gone, all those people are gone, I may as well just end right here and stop existing, you know. It doesn't happen that way. So again, if nothing cannot create something, then that means that God would have had to have been created by something more superior than itself. Again, something to think about. But again, those Christians and Catholics, Bible thumpers, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses and all that shit are going to come back and say, you're wrong, fucker, you're wrong. But they can't prove it. And again, we all know, in the better sense of those of us that have a realm of sensibility and reality in our minds, that we're right. And they are not. So anyway, until next time, my friends, thank you for those of you that have already started subscribing. I really appreciate that. I hope I've subscribed back. If not, please send me an email. Let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, ideas, and decisions and things on that. And anyway, until then, take care of yourself and be good. Cheers.